What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan with Astrodfs, bringing you a brand new video. Today's video, I'm going over the Week 13 Thursday Night Showdown between the Bills and Patriots. Normally, I do the FanDuel one, but I think I'm just going to do a separate video on that. So, let's get right into it. Basically, what I do here is just go over the prices, the matchups that players are going to have, values, and then at the end of the video, I basically do an example line of players that I like and try to make a line out of it. So, first off, let's start with values. I think it's easier to go values and figure out what kind of slate we're going to get rather than just go down and have a slate where you don't have a lot of value. Fortunately, we do. So in my opinion, value is anything under 3,000. That's kind of where your value is. You can average price of 8,300. When you start to get some of these big guys in here, that drops pretty fast, so you have to find value. So under the 3K range, or 3K and below, Nyheim Hines, who, weirdly enough, since going to Buffalo, has not been involved in Buffalo's offense at all. I think it's one of those pieces to where if something were to happen to Singletary or James Cook, who, I mean, you could look at James Cook's numbers, besides week 11, he hasn't been utilized a whole lot. So I think Hines is just that piece to, if one of those guys goes down, they have a more experienced running back than Zach Moss was. So Nyheim Hines is not a play for me today, just because it's a rough matchup for Buffalo running backs nonetheless, and for a guy that doesn't get a lot of volume, it's not one of the guys. Kendrick Bourne. If you look at New England's wide receivers, you get Jacoby Myers, you get Devontae Parker, you get Nelson Aguilar. Kevin Bourne is definitely a value piece to me. You look at some of the games where he's getting 4 targets, 36 yards, 11 yards, 0 touchdowns on the year, but he gets some volume. 2,200, he's not anything I think that's going to win the slate by any means, but if you look and see the injury status of Jacoby Myers, who was just questionable, and the video is out today, so we'll probably figure out later today, if not tomorrow, Jacoby Myers' status. So if Jacoby Myers is out, Kendrick Bourne is a guy that fills in and is definitely a playable piece. And then you get Jonnu Smith at 1,400. Same thing, you kind of look at some of his numbers, and he is more of a safer play than Kendrick Bourne is as far as a value play. It's not saying that Jonnu Smith is somebody that, you should have a good amount of ownership in, but he should be higher ownership percentage than someone like Kendrick Bourne if you're playing quite a few lines. And then this is where it gets really confusing to me, is John Brown just got signed to the practice squad. I don't believe he is going to be playing in this game, and he is $1,000, but yet you get someone who's been on the roster in Khalil Shakir. It's $200. He's a wide receiver 4 on this team, and he's $200. But John Brown is $1,000. To me, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense there. So, John Brown, I guess look for the status. I don't believe he's going to make the active team this game. It'll probably be next week if he gets that opportunity. And then, of course, the Patriots rookie Thornton here at $400. This is a value play that I like. And you look at his numbers, and besides week 6, nothing. Don't get me wrong, nothing. But with his speed in a game like this where the Buffalo's had New England's number, the only game I think New England's won in the last 5 or 6 matchups has been the Snow Bowl. That was it. It's not the Snow Bowl, the Windy Bowl, whatever you want to call it, where you could not throw the ball. You couldn't. It was just run. That's the only game New England's won. I think their last 5 or 6 matchups. So getting someone like Thornton on the field could be a piece that the Patriots need to sneak something there to get that edge on Buffalo, because although Buffalo did lose Von Miller, they are getting healthy now on that secondary, which is scary because they already have a top 10 defense, and when you get those pieces back, that's just trouble for any team trying to pass the ball. We've seen Mac Jones and that team be inefficient quite a bit passing the ball. Against Minnesota, they looked really good, but overall, all season, has not looked pretty. So Thornton at $400 becomes a play. And then this is something I would just look into it today, tomorrow, is find out who's getting some reps for New England running backs. Because although you have Stevenson, and Stevenson is a high volume guy, like he could take a lot of these plays, and you've seen it this season, being that guy. And Stevenson's a great play, and we'll talk about him soon. Is Damian Harris might be out. This is where it gets interesting. If you look at Kevin Harris's numbers, one active game in week 6. And then you look at Pierre Strong Jr.'s numbers. Been active, but has had 1 carry for 5 yards against Cleveland as well. And then we go and look at J.J. Taylor. 1 game, 10 attempts, 9 yards. So trying to figure out who might be New England's backup running back could get you some edge points, but that would be the last of my quote-unquote value plays. So Shakir's there. The backup running backs for New England. Thornton at $400. Joanna Smith at $14. Kendrick Bourne is another one. So now we'll go into the your higher ups, the guys that you're paying up for. Josh Allen at $12.2. This is one of the higher prices we've seen on a Showdown slate lately. $12.2 for Josh Allen against New England. Stephon Diggs $11.6 and Ramondre Stevenson $10.4. That Josh Allen Stephon Diggs connection, definitely something that it's so crazy how good they are. You look at his last 3 or 4 games, he's got 10 plus targets. The only one he doesn't is against Cleveland, and still scores for the points there. Buffalo, New England, man. Just watching their games, someone always steps up for New England, and man, the way they get corners is crazy. But Stephon Diggs has a rougher matchup, but I still think it's a good matchup. You're facing a lot of inexperienced or not as good talent at the cornerback position. So at 11-6, Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, that's a very good stack to have in a game like this. Ramondre Stevenson, you play someone like Ramondre Stevenson, it's a bad matchup for him. The Bills are a very good run defense. You look at his targets, though, man, and he gets targets. Like, especially lately, 6, 7, 7, 8, 10. The receptions he's getting and the yards he's getting from receptions is crazy. So even though he's not being super efficient in the run game, which you look this year, yards per carry, you kind of want over a 4.5. 4.5, 4.4, somewhere around there, I think is very, very good. Look at some of the games, and he's not hitting it. Some of the games he does excel, and you see him get over that number. But it's pretty much a 50-50 there. The receiving game makes up for it. So these 3 guys I definitely like. Now, Mac Jones, some of the Buffalo corners haven't been as good, but now they have their lockdown cornerback in Tre'Davious White returning. That's a huge, huge help for Buffalo. Being able to just stop one wide receiver every play, basically not saying that a team won't be able to ever complete something to Tre'Davious White, but he is that good to where he could limit your number 1 receiver. So Gabe Davis for me. My 2 receivers for Buffalo is going to be Isaiah McKenzie and Stephon Diggs. Those are my 2 receivers for Buffalo. I think Isaiah McKenzie's got a good matchup. He's being included a lot more the last few weeks. You look at Cleveland, yes, one target. But last week against Detroit and then week 10 against Minnesota, he's being involved. He's getting a few runs too. Just Buffalo trying to be creative, try some new things out, stuff like that. Isaiah McKenzie and Stephon Diggs are my 2 Buffalo wide receivers. Now for New England, if Jacoby Myers is in, Jacoby Myers has a very good matchup against Buffalo, playing their worst corner, and their worst corner has not been good at all. Now Jacoby Myers hasn't been a huge volume piece lately. He gets the 13 targets against the Jets in week 8, only 6 in their other matchup, and then 6 and 4. He's kind of been banged up. We're watching for his shoulder status, see if he is going to play. We'll probably figure that out today in walkthroughs. If not tomorrow for sure, we will know that. Devin Singletary for me. I don't know. It's always been hard for me to judge someone like Devin Singletary. He's hurt me in the past of getting him on fantasy teams and DFS lineups, but he's been pretty good this year, especially with Zach Moss gone now. You kind of get that feeling. I just think overall it's a rough matchup for running backs in Buffalo. Just 7,000. I don't know if he's worth a price, especially with Stevenson, Allen Diggs. You're paying up. I don't know if Devin Singletary is worth the $7K that you're paying for him. I mentioned Isaiah McKenzie. I like him. I like his matchup. Dawson Knox. I'd like to play Dawson Knox, but for some reason, they're not using Dawson Knox like they have in previous years. I don't know what is going on. I don't know if it's a scheme thing, if he's been secretly banged up in a way, but it is not there. Hopefully, this is a game where Dawson Knox shines. He's had some really good matchups in the past few weeks, and has not put up very good numbers. 6,200, I don't know if that is the right price yet. Now, if New England does what New England tries to do and shut down the number one wide receiver and force you to use your other guys, then Dawson Knox, yes, could be a very good play. I'm just interested to see how it is. It's 6,200 is a very rough price to get someone like him. Devontae Parker, I think, has got another good matchup. My two receivers for the Patriots, and I think either one is very playable, Devontae Parker and Jacoby Myers. I like Devontae Parker's price. I like some of the more consistent numbers that he's usually getting around his 4 to 6 target range. See games where he's been banged up, rough matchups, just not being included. But the games he does get involved with his 4 to 6 targets, he usually has a pretty good game. 5,600 though is a little rougher. I'd like to see him in like the 4K range, but being, I guess, the number 2 target in New England, you're not going to get that price-wise. Now, both defenses are, in my opinion, playable. Even though the Bills' offense is super efficient and very good, the Patriots' defense always finds a way to somehow get fantasy points. The Bills' defense, you're paying $5,200 for them, which is a little higher on a showdown slate. You look at some of the numbers they put up. Only 3 games this year, over 10 fantasy points. This is very well a game that they could do it, especially, like I said, getting Tre'Davious White is a huge deal. Getting back a number 1 lock corner for a team is a huge deal. So 5,200, I think it's very feasible to play that defense. Nelson Aguilar, I don't like him. I like Devontae Parker and Jacoby Myers for me. He is somebody that has a boom or bust game, don't get me wrong. Last week, 6 receptions, 65 yards, and a touchdown. Get some points. Week 2 against Pittsburgh, 6 for 110 and a touchdown. Other games just boom or bust for me. And I don't know if I can really take that out of Nelson Aguilar. I'd rather go Devontae Parker. Bills just don't allow a lot of big plays, so I'd rather go Devontae Parker, who's going to get those short checkdowns, the shorter routes, than Nelson Aguilar in this. Hunter Henry at 4,600. I don't know if I want to play either tight end for New England. They've never been utilized like I thought they would in New England. When they did that signing and brought Juanu and Hunter Henry, I thought this team was going to be very, very good, very crazy good for having 2 tight ends that were very good in their respective teams and game scripts and all that stuff. So hasn't lived up to what I thought. Now, the kickers here, Tyler Bass, yes, playable easily. New England figuring out who the kicker is going to be. I believe Nick Folk is going to be good to go and be their kicker. So Nick Folk, Tyler Bass, both playable in a game like this where you could see teams kind of struggle trying to get in the red zone. I don't think Buffalo struggles as much, but still, both these kickers are playable at 4K. And then last but not least is James Cook at 3,600. I believe James Cook is definitely a playable for me at 3,600, getting some reception, stuff like that. Playable, not one of my more desirable plays, though. So let's try to put a lineup together. So captaining Josh Allen is 18,000, which is almost, it's a little over a third of our salary on one player. So we'd have to find some volume. So let's say we like Ramondre Stevenson. Let's say we want him as captain. What do we got? 6'8". So we need to go down here, and I want to find a value piece. I want to find someone that I could plug in and see what I could do. So I want Thornton. I really like Thornton tonight. I want to plug him in. So let's plug him in. let's get Josh Allen. Let's get Stephon Diggs. We got 5,100. So let's go Nick Folk. Let's go Nick Folk tonight. 6,200. That allows us to get Dawson Knox. So on the New England side, we got Stevenson, Thornton, and Nick Folk. On Buffalo side, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Dawson Knox. So just an example. It hits perfect salary. It's not always good to have perfect salary. Sometimes you want to leave salary on the table. That was just me going off of an example, just some of the plays in a really quick line. So hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. If you guys are interested in joining us, the link for that will be in the description down below. And I will see you guys in the next one.